This perp back with another video, and I just got done watching episode 5 of this final season of Power season 6, and boy do we have a lot to talk about. But before I get into this review, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you're new, and also follow me on Twitter at perpminded, because I post a lot of stuff I can't post here, and just a bunch of updates and random shit too. So with all that being said, let's hop right into this. And didn't I say I do not trust Effie? I do not trust Effie. She has this whole little chess match. It's all cute, fun and games with Tariq, and he's easily wooed by this chick, and she's texting this unknown person about the business that he's doing. So get back to that later. We have Ghost kind of taking it upon himself to back away from Tate's, his whole campaign. And you have Ramona trying to talk some sense into him, be like, you should continue to do this, don't let up on this. And Tate's kind of happy, but ends up backfiring on Tate later on in the episode, because the debate he has, he pretty much bombs. Meanwhile, Sax and Blanca are pretty much trying to figure out who killed Angela Valdez, and the pressure's on Sax because he's doing a lot of illegal shit behind the scenes, and Blanca is pretty much starting to piece that together, and Sax is starting to feel the pressure, so he has to start ramping stuff up into 5th gear before it's too late and he loses his job pretty much. So he puts pressure on Dre, tells him, look, you gotta help me out here, you gotta find something, you gotta help me put something on Ghost, or you'll never see your daughter again. So Sax gets called in, and Warden? Anyways, he gets called in and gets questioned about all these things that's going on. They don't know about the illegal wiretapping yet, but he asks them about everything else, and Sax tells everybody that he's got a Dre as his informant and whatnot, and he's doing all this shady shit off the books. It's not really looking good for Sax, and Warren lets Sax know that Proctor's ex-wife is dead, so they go take a trip to his house. But before we get to that, let's talk about what Tasha and Tommy were talking about. And I kind of like these little conversations they have. They're kind of goofy, but it was pretty well shot. They just have this back and forth about Tasha just trying to figure things out. Tasha even gets herself into a little situation, tries to get pressured by this dude that apparently runs this block or whatnot, and I'll get to him later, because it kind of that felt forced to me a little bit, and kind of out of place and a little bit random. But heading over to Ghost and Dre, Dre's gotta figure out something he could stick on Ghost, but also he wants to, he's pretty much playing both sides at this point. But I feel like they kind of told us how Dre's gonna die. I don't think Dre's gonna make it through the end of this season. I think he's gonna die pretty soon. Not in the next episode, but he's gonna die pretty soon. By who? I have no idea. So Proctor gets a visit from Warren and Sax, and they start questioning him and start applying pressure like crazy. While this is going on, Tariq is up to something, and Effie is pretty much already ahead of the curve, and that plays into something later on I'm going to talk about in this review. So Proctor pretty much confronts Ghost and tells him, you gotta get rid of this witness, she's gonna become a huge problem for you. And I really feel bad for Proctor in this episode, man, because he's just scrambling, trying to figure things out, trying to do all this to protect his daughter, while Tariq's gotta do some shady shit with the Italians and Vincent, and tries to get one over on the Italians, but ends up kind of backfiring in his face. And I'll talk about that towards the end of this review. So let's get out the trash, right? I don't like Lakeisha. This scene, this whole her, just stop it. Just please kill her off already. She's annoying. She brings nothing to the story, and that's all I'll say. So back to what really matters. Proctor and Tommy meet up, and Tommy's ready to slit his throat, but Proctor tells him, I know where you can find this witness at. She's going to become a huge problem for you. Here's the information. And then Tommy goes about his way and somewhat can trust Proctor. But, the pressure's on Proctor. He slips up and tells Sax who killed Angela. And, he's getting pressured into snitching. Tries to go to his cousin for help, and he's pretty much fucked at this point, because he's tried so hard to just keep calm and keep everything together, but everything is pretty much just falling apart in front of him, and it's not looking good for your boy Proctor. That's all I'll say right now. But it's also not looking good for your boy Tariq, because he gets expelled. So Effie definitely dimed him out. Now, what Tariq's going to do from now on, I have no idea. We're just going to have to see how that plays out. But, that's what you get for wanting to live this life. And now you just fucked up a really good opportunity to get your shit together. So back at the penthouse, Proctor pops up with his daughter and says, "Yo, okay, we just stay out here for a while till things blow off." Pretty much lies to Ghost. But then Tariq and Ghost have a little of an argument, because Ghost finds out that Tariq's been suspended, and Tariq tries to just throw this back in Ghost's face, like, this is your fault anyways. How can you, he pretty much tells him, like, oh, I'm you, blah, blah. I can't stand Tariq, man. He's just such a knucklehead. I just wish Ghost would just put hands on him already. But Ghost also takes out his frustration on Tasha, which, is kind of unnecessary. And hopefully they can, come to some resolution. But I think that bridge is already burnt. So Proctor is talking to his daughter and gives her this necklace with a chip in it, or not chip, the information to pretty much clear his name and kind of help out. But I don't think they'll come into play until later on in the season. We're just going to wait and see. Meanwhile, while that is all going down, Tasha and Tommy pretty much kind of butt heads and kind of have this little argument and kind of go about their ways, while Tasha's still getting pressured by this dude that wants her to pretty much kind of pay tax or just come up with some type of money. I gotta give it to Tasha though. She's smart though. She knows what type of dude this is and knows that he's not that big of a threat. And she pretty much figures out her own way to, get rid of him. Meanwhile, Tommy is at the witness's house getting ready to murk her before Sax and her walk in the door. He's hearing everything that she's talking about, hearing what Sax is talking about, and Sax slips up and says Proctor's name, knowing that he kind of let Proctor go. Now Tommy thinks Proctor's a snitch. So Tommy kills the witness, puts a bullet in her head, takes her money, and walks off. Now things got more interesting as 2-Bit gets rid of the Tasha's problem, and Tommy's looking for Proctor and gets word that he's staying at Ghost's house. Meanwhile, he calls up Tariq to get everybody out the house because he says it's gonna go down, and Tariq's thinking that, oh, he's gonna take out my dad. Nah, he's actually going for Proctor and gets Proctor's daughter out of the house before, Tommy arrives. Man, R.I.P. Joe Proctor, because, he's making his final calls and everything. Tariq's chilling with his daughter at the ice cream store, and Tommy pops up and just starts spraying everywhere, corners Proctor, and ends up killing him. And it was a pretty sad death, but Proctor kind of pretty much got himself involved with the wrong people. Speaking of which, Tariq gets himself snatched up by Vincent, and now Tommy and Ghost have to come up with $2 million for Vincent in the next 24 hours, or they're either going to kill Tariq, or this is probably just a plan to get them both out the way. Just gonna have to see how this plays out. Overall, I think this episode was pretty solid. It's very action-packed. My favorite part was all of Tommy's parts, pretty much. Him coming into Ghost's penthouse and just lighting that fucking shit up. R.I.P. to the penthouse too, because that shit got lit the fuck up. So who knows what Sax is gonna do with the information that he has on that wiretap. We don't know how this all is going to play out with Tariq, if this is all just a trap. Who knows? What do you guys think about this in the comments below? Let me know. Did you like this episode? Are you still not feeling this season? Let me know all your thoughts and feelings in the comments below, like I said, and I'll check y'all out next week. Peace.
What made that comedian different from that comedian? And it was the strength, the inner strength, the style, the confidence they had, not being afraid to fail. And if I can transcend that to a lot of people, whatever it might not be comedy, it might be in the workplace, to give them that drive. That's when I ain't scared of you came from. You can't be afraid.